in my soap dish, perfectly designed to be unpleasant to find. Garden ants the size of graduates. My, how you have grown.
So the album has been out for a little bit, From Dreams to Dust. What's the reception been like for you guys?
It seems like people really enjoy it. I don't usually read reviews of our stuff, but I have been this time, and it all seems very positive, and it seems like people are sort of picking up what we were putting down in a way, like sort of, I don't know, getting the record is the right way to say it, but it seems to be accepted in the manner it was given, which is really kind of gratifying thing.
But what are you putting down, or what were you putting down? Give me a brief overview to get started here.
That's a good question. You know, we sort of believe in the primacy of the songwriting itself and sort of the lyrical content. And so just getting these feelings, these ideas, these stories across in the way that we know how, which is, you know, through music.
Yeah.
And sort of getting better and better at that as the years go on, I think, and exploring sort of new ways to do that. And just, very happy with how the record came out and the songs. And,
well, I mean, the songs, I mean, you just as a whole of the songs that comprise the album, you get a feel. And it's kind of a feel about, to me, it's about how you guys feel about the States and where you're at and what's going on over there, but on a more personal level. So is that an accurate kind of way of looking at it?
Yeah, I guess so. There is that, of course. The music is political in that sense, or at least observational of the world that we live in, for sure. But hopefully told through like a personal lens where actually like there's a human.
I mean, it starts out with a tune called Jazz on the Autobahn, and there's a kind of reference to the apocalypse, and this is what it looks like. But I love the trumpet, so if the apocalypse includes a trumpet solo, I'm all for it. You know what I'm saying?
It won't sound like jazz, 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 jazz on the Autobahn. It won't sound like jazz, 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 jazz on the Autobahn. They agreed to disagree. They zoomed off in a doomed Corvette.
Yeah, that's great trumpet playing. So if we can get quality trumpet solos of that quality during the apocalypse, we will be feeling lucky, I think.
And what can you tell me about? Because there's a song, there's a video. What are you guys thinking about when you're working on this particular piece of music?
You know, that song was written by my brother Ian.
Right.
He's more of a he's just more of a prolific lyricist. He's, I guess, wordy would be the way to say it. I don't mean that in a pejorative sense.
No.
He's like sort of like a rapid spitfire stream of compelling imagery.
Yep.
And then sort of cut up or sort of interspersed with this kind of funny, sort of catchy refrain, jazz, jazz, jazz on the Autobahn.
Yeah.
And it's weird. It's like an adventure. There's two people on the run, maybe from the law. They also seem to be experiencing the cataclysmic end of the universe.
These things happen.
These things, as somebody will eventually experience this. Hopefully not us for a while. So it's a fun, weird, scary song, which is my favorite kind of song.
Now, one of yours is All the Way Down. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Sometimes it just works before I even begin. Some words make it worse, but I'll say a few things. If you can die, it will be alright.
Ian does the propensity of the writing. Is there a sibling rivalry happening there, or are you guys kind of supporting each other? And tell me about that and about the song itself.
I consider myself to be like the support in a way. I feel like Ian is the main vessel.
Sure. Yeah, fair enough.
As I'm a songwriter, and I think that I do a pretty good job. I consider Ian to be like one of the best in the biz.
Yeah.
So I definitely defer to him as a songwriter. But yeah. So the All the Way Down is a song I wrote. It's not it's maybe in a weird way the opposite of jazz. It's sort of like about birth and new beginnings. Somebody speaking to you, like a father speaking to a newborn son, or something like that. Some way where you sort of passing the torch, explaining to somebody how the world is going to be. And I consider it like a pretty hopeful song.
Right. But it is music wise, it's kind of darker and slower than what's kind of preceding it. So.
Yeah, that's a good point. I guess it's a little more spacey, and it does have like this. The man who mixed it, Mike Mogus, played this really interesting instrument on that. Wow, I can't even remember what the hell is the instrument called now. It's that like sort of mandolin sounding,
right? Weissenburn or something like that, or I don't know.
A marxophone or
yeah. We'll just make something
like that. Yeah, I'll make it up. Which gives this like ethereal, ghostly, almost alien sound, which I really loved. And yeah, so the song is slower and a little bit more mysterious and darker. That is true.
Very
But
cool.
it's juxtaposition, you know.
Yep. Now, what I wanted to touch on was Inferno, because I mean, there's all sorts of stuff going on in there. There's this film and Dante's Inferno, and there's references to films all over the place. And I was wondering, from your perspective, did you guys watch a lot of movies when you were growing up together? And
oh yeah,
part of what's going on there. Or
I can't make sense of this. Why some memories persist. Halfway through we left and shared a cigarette. I can't go home. The way is dark and overgrown. Although your hand's in my hand, I fail to understand.
Definitely. I mean, where we grew up, going to the movies was a huge part of our lives. That's something we always look forward to. You get to go to the mall.
Right.
It's pretty exciting, you know? And, you know, if you're a teenager or like a young adult, I remember the first time I ever drove a car by myself when I was 16 or 17 was to drive to the movies.
Right. Did you go to drive-in?
No, I went to the mall. We didn't really have a drive-in very close to us. We didn't do a lot of driving. It was like all about going to the mall, getting to the mall, seeing your friends, and going to the movies, getting high.
Well, I grew up in rural Pennsylvania in the 1960s, and the only thing there was a drive-in movie between like two of the small towns, and that was like the big night out.
That's the big, yeah. I mean, today for the first time in a year, I saw a film in theaters, and it was such an awesome experience that it was me and my buddy were the only two people, I think, in the entire building. But
well, you got to keep your social distancing, right?
we were very distanced.
What'd you see? Anything good?
Dune.
Oh yeah, what'd you think? I've seen it.
I loved it. I was a huge fan of the books, and I hadn't read the book in a long time. And I love that director whose name I can never pronounce.
Yeah, no, don't worry about it. I can't either. It's begins with a V, doesn't it?
Yeah, Denis. I know his first name is pronounced Denis, but his last.
Yeah. I learned something about it because I was doing a little research about Dune in general, because I'd seen the original with the David Lynch thing,
right.
But there was an original version before that never got made. That was supposed to happen in the 70s, and it was supposed to star Mick Jagger, Orson Welles, and Salvador Dali.
Right.
And it actually, when I first heard about that, I was like, nah, that never happened. But I saw this documentary about it. It almost did happen. It came this close to getting made.
I remember watching that doc. Yeah, that would have been something else, man.
Anyway, I digress. So there's another tune that you co-wrote, Silverfish.
Mm-hmm.
So how did the two of you write together?
I gotta do something. I gotta do something. I gotta do something. I gotta do something.
How did that one come together? Actually, I think I wrote most of that one. Man, you know what? It feels like a million years ago already. But
oh yeah,
we do. He helps me with lyrics a lot of the time, and I help him sometimes with just like, you know, melody and sort of the more musical aspect of things, the arrangements and stuff like that. So that one was collaboration in terms of how just the structure of the song. The band was like really helpful because the way that the song came out was a lot different than how I sort of envisioned it. Much better. Came out way better than my original plan. And that was the band really just helping produce and create that song and turn it into what it turned out to be.
Right. So as a band, is it a new bass player?
Jess is our bass player. She played in the last record too. So she's been in the band for about 3 years now, a little more than that.
Right.
4 years.
Okay.
And our drummer's been with us for about 5 or 6 years now.
Right. So how does the band coalesce in the studio? Because you recorded in some 1800s church or something that even restored. So that's a story right there. But
yeah. Yeah, this is middle of the pandemic. So for the first sort of half of the recording, it was just me and Ian alone.
Right.
Creating the songs, sort of building them. And then we were able to like get together, the whole band to get together for a few days. Everybody got tested before vaccines and the whole thing. So it was dicey, but we got together. And so for 4 days, it was the band together finally. We got our bass player's husband in there to engineer the record, so I didn't have to push any buttons.
Oh, that's good.
Which was good. I mean, he made it sound better too. And we just played. And so, a lot of the best songs on the record, including Jazz on the Audubon and Silverfish, were recorded in 3 or 4 days. We recorded like 8 or 9 or 10 songs.
Right.
Really, they're just fantastic musicians, so they make it easy.
So tell me about this church that you recorded in.
It's a church on my brother's property. It's like a historical church. I think it was built by one man in, I always get this wrong, but it's the mid 1800s.
I got 1873 written down.
There you go. So post Civil War. Yeah, that makes sense. It's like an old German style church, very simple, but very beautiful. And it sounds great in there.
Yeah, I find that this is possibly a thing happening. People recording in old churches. I talked to a guy the other day in Chicago, and he recorded in this old church that he had actually lived in for a while, and kind of when he was homeless, and now he's got taken over the church and made it into a recording studio.
Nice. Well, yeah, there's a lot of churches in this country, and not a lot of parishioners anymore. So.
Yeah. So how's the country feel? You've just kind of come out of something of an election day a couple of days ago, and I mean,
there was an election day.
What's the temperature over there politically?
We live in a place where it's like half and half, sort of Republicans and Democrats. And,
yes, you do.
Yeah. As far as I can tell, everybody gets along great. It's on the internet. Where
it doesn't feel like that from outside.
Oh, from outside, I'm sure it looks like a war zone over here. But that's not actually how human beings behave in this country at all.
Oh, that's good.
You got 5% of people or 10% or whatever. There's on each side who are very noisy.
Yep.
Everybody's just trying to go on and get around. Some people have, I think, pretty spectacularly stupid ideas about politics and where they think the country should be going, but they're still, our brothers and sisters.
There you go.
The Americans, despite everything.
Now I need to talk about the final track on the album, "We Shall Live Again," because not only do you manage to work in Heigl and Prowse, but also rhyming Francis Assisi with AC/DC has got to be some kind of stepping stone in songwriting.
From Francis of Assisi to the fans of AC/DC, we all shall live again.
I wish I wrote that. That's Ian.
I know.
Yeah, it's such a good line. When he played the demo of that song, he sent it to me, and I just listened to the whole thing. I think the original one was even longer, more verses. Yeah. And I was just blown away. I was like, man, he's so good at this. I love that song. I really do. I love the message. I love the imagery. I love even the length of it. I feel like it doesn't get tiring to me to listen to or to play.
So it is a little over 8 minutes long, and it is very wordy, for lack of a better word. So when that happens, when that comes to you guys as a band, and you're looking at what's the process? How does it get to be made into what we hear?
That song, it's a simple song, right? It's just like verse, chorus, or no, I guess verse, chorus. It's a very simple song. It's the same chords over and over and over again. And so that won't just fly. You can't just have him playing it by himself. It needs to have like an arc you know,
Right.
and instead of like doing something fancy where you like try to change the chord structure up or the melody in ways that maybe will make it alienating to sing or to listen to, you try to preserve the original intention of the song as much as possible and just sort of build like a compelling soundscape around it that just sort of helps move the song along, but never ever gets in the way of the intention of the song. And that's what we try to do with that one. It's like, it's simple. The accompaniment simple. The drums come in like, you know, minute 3 or 4. They help bring the song up. And then it's just like, I don't ever want to do anything that's too clever and distract you from
Gotcha. Yeah.
emotional content of the song.
Okay. Speaking of couplets, I would be remiss if I didn't mention comet and vomit rhyming as well in in Celebrity X.
Good one, Tim. Get at that.
Yes, he's on a roll.
He's on a roll.
So you guys been doing gigs though, right? I saw you played in Pennsylvania somewhere recently. And,
Yeah, that was we played. Yeah, we were on the road for 6 weeks.
And
yeah.
What was it like? What's it like out? Is it different than it was before? Because I know you took a break like everybody did.
Yeah, we took a break. Not as different as I thought it was going to be.
Okay.
The only difference, the tangible difference, is just masks in the audience, right?
Right.
That turns out to be the biggest difference. And a lot of the audiences just don't wear masks anyway, even though you ask them to, they don't, which is
Right.
That is an interesting barrier, but that's all, you know. And I mean, there's a barrier. I guess there's, if you have to be vaxxed to come to our shows. And
I was going to ask you that. Yeah.
Yeah. And that, you know, I guess that cuts out some people, but
Yep. Keeps the riffraff out.
yeah, exactly. Bags out. So maybe there are, you know, slightly less people at some of the shows, and maybe that's the reason why, or people just don't feel comfortable. I'm sure we have a lot of
Yep.
folks my age who have kids who are, you know, understandably reticent to get out there.
Yep.
But the people that do come are so happy to be there, and we are so happy to see them there.
Yep. Very good. Well, you have to come down to this part of the planet. I think you guys have been here. I think I've seen you. You played at Power Station, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, Auckland, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
in Auckland, which is just actually I can almost see it from here. So.
Wow, I love. Yeah, we've been to New Zealand, I think, only twice in our lives, and probably for a total of like 20 hours.
Right. Well, yeah, because it tends to happen. You kind of land, do the gig, and you're out before you can even get to sleep or something. You know,
amazingly just messed up. Next time, I want to spend, you know, at least a day checking out the town, and it's amazing because you see the mountains from the air. I always go to the Auckland airport, you can see like the mountains in the distance, and it just looks like the beautiful place in the world.
Yeah,
been anywhere near those.
But it's pretty boring right now. We're all locked down, so not much.
The mountains, though, right? You're allowed outside.
The mountains are still there. We haven't got rid of those, so that's all good. So, are you thinking in terms of what you're going to do next as a band?
Yeah, always thinking about what's next. You know, we're going to Europe next summer, which is kind of a long ways from now, like almost half.
Well,
yeah, things slow down in the winter a little bit. We're hopefully just going to start writing and make another record if people want to hear it. I mean, even if they don't want to hear it, we're going to make it.
that's the spirit. Very good. Well, I think they're going to want to hear this one. I mean, it's been getting some good reviews, even if you haven't been reading them. So you're doing all right.
Good.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for spending time telling me about it.
Sure.
Any opportunity is a great opportunity when it
Yeah.
sounds like this. So it's cool. Yep. And come on down and play. We'll be open soon.
All right, let's do it.
All right. Thank you very much. See you.
Thank you very much. See you
Bye.
soon.